Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin. Welcome to the Learn at Home Examination Readiness Series. Today, we will be solving past questions from English language with focus on senior school certificate examination. At the last class, we were able to solve questions in Section 5 of the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, June 2012, English language. In this edition, we are focusing on past questions from West African Senior School Certificate Examination, June 2012. Our focus today will be on the theory part, and to be specific, the essay writing section, which is section A. To really follow this class, please use your past question compilation guide. This will enable you to follow me as I discuss the principles and answers to each question. I hope you are ready for today's class. I believe you are fully prepared. I am really excited. Well, at the end of this class, you will be able to solve specifically letter writing question in section A of the West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2012. Let's get started. You know that in the essay writing section, you are usually given 5 essay writing topics from which you choose one. So really that makes it easy. And it gives you the freedom to choose the one that you can easily write on. Today, we want to pick question 1, which incidentally is letter writing. And the question reads, you have spent about 6 weeks in your new school. Write a letter to your father telling him about your experiences so far. Now, no examination body will tell you the type of letter you have been asked to write. Just as you can see, you are simply asked to write a letter to someone, and then it is left for you to identify the type of letter you are to write. Of course, you have been taught in your regular classes at least 3 types of letters: formal letter, informal letter, and semi-formal letter. Now, the letter we are given to write in today's class is an informal letter. How do we know? Well, I have 3 objectives for this class. 1, define an informal letter. 2, explain the features of informal letters. 3, explain how to write an informal letter. Now, let's begin with defining an informal letter. And our definition, of course, has to be relevant to the question we have been asked to solve. Now, I will define an informal letter as a letter you write to someone with whom you share a personal relationship. Now, repeat after me. An informal letter is a letter you write to someone with whom you share a personal relationship. That's right. Now, this definition, of course, it corresponds to the letter we have been asked to write, because you are asked to write a letter to your father, telling him about your experiences so far. Your father is someone to whom you share a personal relationship. It's your dad, all right? And you are familiar with him, so it's an informal letter. Now, this can give you a clear picture of what an informal letter is. So next time, if you are asked to write to your mother or write to your brother or write to your uncle or your friends, you know it is an informal letter because the one you are writing to is someone with whom you share a personal relationship. Now, having defined the informal letter, let's now go ahead and explain the features of informal letters. Now, let me guide you because features are parts of something and a letter has various parts. The first part of your letter is the writer's address. In this case, your address. You may choose to write, the name, the address. You may decide to use your school address. You may decide to use any other address. The important thing is for you to make sure you punctuate your address well and you write it the way it should be written. Let's assume let's invent a school name. You can begin by writing Sabo High School. You put a comma. Ojo, you put a comma. Lagos State, full stop. Now, ensure that each item in this address begins with a capital letter. For example, Sabo begins with capital letter S. High starts with capital letter H. School, capital letter S. Ojo, capital letter O. Lagos, capital letter L. And State, capital letter S. And don't forget to put a full stop after state. That marks the end of your address. That's the first part. Then comes the date. You can write 24th January, you put a comma, 2021, full stop. The next feature of your informal letter is the salutation, because an informal letter doesn't have the receiver's address. You go straight to salutation, and in this case, you write, Dear Father, and you put a comma. Ensure that Dear starts with capital letter D and Father, capital letter F. It is wrong to write an informal letter, to write the salutation of an informal letter with Dear Sir. It is absolutely wrong because you are familiar with your father, so write Dear Father. Now, after that, the next feature will be the content of the letter, and the content of the letter should be made up of 3 parts. Every other piece of writing, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. The introduction is your first paragraph. The body is paragraph 2, 3, and 4, as the case may be. Then the conclusion will be the last paragraph. After that, you have the subscription. Subscription is the closing, which is usually yours sincerely, affectionately, in the case of an informal letter. You can simply write yours sincerely and ensure that yours begins with a capital letter Y and sincerely small letter S. Then you put a comma. The last feature will be your first name. If your name is Mary, for example, you simply write Mary and put a full stop. If your name is Mark, you simply write Mark and put full stop. That is the end. And so these are the features of an informal letter. Now, we are now going to explain how to write an informal letter. Just like every other meaningful piece of writing, you need to brainstorm, generate ideas for your writing, and create an outline. These things are not difficult things. An outline is simply a rough list, a list of the main points you want to discuss in your letter. Now, and what do? You simply think about the content, because your outline should be based on the content of the letter, which incidentally you're already given. Write a letter to your father telling him about your experiences so far. Just list those things that should constitute the experiences of a normal student. You can assume that he's a student in a boarding house because you are away from home, which is why you are writing a letter to your father. Now, items like lesson delivery and the performance of teachers, that can be the first item on your list. Then you can talk about extracurricular activities, clubs and societies or sports. Just share your experiences, how extracurricular activities are done in your new school. Then you can talk about feeding in the boarding house and other things, all right, that concern the welfare of the students. Now, you don't have to bite more than you can chew. In the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, you are required to write to discuss at least 3 main points in whatever essay you are asked to write. You can, pick 3 main points and discuss them. Once you are through with your outline, the next thing is to begin to write your letter. Now, in writing the letter, don't forget you begin with your address. We have already gone through the procedure for writing. Your address up to the salutation. So you write your address. Let's go through it again. Sabo High School, comma, Ojo, comma, Lagos State, full stop. Date, 24th January, comma, 2021, full stop. Now, the salutation, that comes in the next line by the left-hand margin of the sheet of paper. You write, "Dear Father," comma. Then your first paragraph, which is your introduction, begins in the next line after "Dear Father." Then you leave a space to indicate the beginning of a new paragraph. How do you know the amount of space you can leave? I suggest you begin your new paragraph, your first paragraph, in the space between "dear" and "father." That is logical enough. Then there are 2 ways in which you can begin. You may go straight to the point and begin to discuss the purpose of your letter. For example, I am writing to let you know about my experiences in my new school so far. Well, that is acceptable. But if you want to show the familiarity that exists between you and your dad, which is natural, you may begin on a lighter note. You may even begin to write by saying, "I am excited to write this letter to you." You could even say, it has just occurred to me that 6 weeks have passed since I left home. You could even say how much you miss dad, mom, and your siblings at home. These things are all allowed in an informal letter. Well, let's take a break at this juncture. I'll be back to conclude the solution to this question. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are discussing answers to the past questions of West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2012, and our focus has been on the essay writing section, specifically letter writing. Before we went on break, we stopped at the introductory paragraph of our letter. So we will continue from where we stopped, which is specifically the body of the letter. Remember that the body of your letter is supposed to be made up of at least 3 paragraphs. So in this letter, let's aim at writing a 5-paragraph letter. We have written paragraph 1, which is our introduction. So the body of our letter begins in paragraph 2. And don't forget to leave a space when you begin paragraph 2. Of course, the body of your letter is meant to discuss the main points you have already jotted down in your outline. So what you do here is simple. You pick point 1 in your outline if it is lesson delivery and teacher's performance. Then you discuss that in paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 is the beginning of the body of your letter. And don't forget that the body of your letter is where you discuss the main thing that the examiner has asked you to discuss. You do that very well. Now, you pick point 1, which probably is lesson delivery and teacher's performance in class. Then you discuss that in paragraph 2. You take point 2, which probably is extracurricular activities in your school, and discuss that in paragraph 3. Then you take point 3, which could be feeding and other happenings in the boarding house. You discuss all this in paragraph 4. And then you go over to paragraph 5 to conclude your letter. All right, you simply summarize everything you have said in the body of your letter. And after that, the last thing you do is to write the subscription. You go to the right-hand side, below your last paragraph, by the right-hand side, and ensure that you align it with your address on top. All right, so you begin from that point where your address on top begins. You begin your subscription there. And what do you write? Yours sincerely. Take note that yours begins with capital letter Y, and sincerely begins with small letter s, after which you put a comma. Then you write your the last thing you write is your first name. If your name is Mary, you write Mary and put a full stop. If your name is Mark, you simply write Mark and put a full stop. All right, so that is exactly how to write your informal letter. And there are certain things you need to know. You have to use linkers to make your writing coherent. In the first paragraph, you can, in some cases, of course, the second paragraph, when you start the body of your letter, you can begin the second paragraph, which is the beginning of the body of your letter, with something like to start with, lesson delivery in my school is really very interesting, or the teachers in my school are performing very well when it comes to delivering lessons in classes. You can mention some of the teachers that have really done extremely well in teaching the subjects you like. All right, so you begin something like, to start with, don't use the the ones I can call cliches, firstly, secondly, thirdly. You can leave these ones. You can just use some other linkers, all right? Then the next paragraphs, you can use moreover. You start with moreover, and don't forget that each part of the body of your letter should begin with a topic sentence. You know what a topic sentence means? That is just a sentence that that shows the point you want to discuss in that paragraph. And don't forget that every paragraph should contain one main idea. You don't have to discuss two different ideas in one paragraph. Just discuss one main idea in one paragraph. If you are talking about lesson delivery and teachers' performance in paragraph 2, then just start with a sentence that shows that that is what you want to discuss. Then other sentences will just add details to what you have already said in the first sentence. Then you go to the next one. You can use furthermore or in addition, as your linkers. When you come to conclude, I mean the last point, not the conclusion now, but the last point, you can simply write finally, So these are linkers you can use, and you are free to choose the type you are familiar with and that you feel interested in using. Now, this type of letter allows short forms or contractions, like I won't or I will, that is I apostrophe double L. I can't, I wouldn't. All these are allowed, but don't use outrageous codes, like the type many students write, which of course is the outcome of excessive use of social media and other internet-related styles of writing, where someone will use the letter U to represent YOU. Some will write Y, the letter Y, to represent WHY. Instead of writing because, some will simply write COS, cos. And instead of writing, for example, some will simply write EG. Avoid such short forms, all right? Now, I don't need to tell you, you don't have to write ASAP, ASAP. People shorten everything now as soon as possible. If you are writing as soon as possible, write as soon as possible in full. Then write before, BEFORE. Please don't come with B4, all right? So avoid such outrageous codes and make sure you spell your words correctly. This is why you have to manage your time well. Make sure you conclude your letter, and then you will have enough time to cross-check what you have written, and then you correct whatever spelling mistakes or other mistakes such as punctuation and so on. This will ensure that you don't lose marks. Now, this is the note we can take in today's lesson. I believe that you must have learned enough that will help you to write a good letter. Continue to study your books and practice your past questions. We shall be back next class to continue solving past questions in the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Thank you for studying with us today at Learn at Home. Bye for now.
Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video. Thank you.